What is going on, guys? This is Coasting the Mediaverse. I'm Brian.
I'm Michael.
And we're here to talk about Supergirl.
This is going to be more of a review of our takes, hot takes, good takes, whatever really felt the movie. Less analysis. So if you're looking for a breakdown of scene by scene, this is not it. We're just going to jump right into it. As for fun summer clips, like we said, we're keeping those condensed. So let's just get right into it.
So we watched it a couple nights ago. We watched it late, so we didn't get to record immediately after. But what were your immediate thoughts leaving the theater?
My immediate thoughts were I enjoyed it. I did give it a 2.5 with a like on Letterboxd, but it was all over the place, and there was so much potential for it to be a wonderful movie that was done right. But there's a lot of things that I feel like took away from the movie being exactly what it was trying to be. And what really sticks out for me is this movie was not their own version of Supergirl. They made it with remnants of the comic. They said it was an adaptation from the comic, and I have not read the comic myself, but from a lot of people I've been told it was nothing like the comic. So if you're going to say you are an adaptation of a comic to film, but you don't do anything in the way that it's supposed to, then you lose a lot of credibility in that, right? And this is DC's important part of a phase one, because it's being compared to a lot of other phases where you need to I'm not saying necessarily it has to be for everyone, right? Because there's movies that just are good but not for everyone, but you have to stick your landing. And since you're doing Supergirl right after Superman, unfortunately you are going to be compared to Superman immediately. So people are looking at that.
And I couldn't agree more with talking about the phasing, how this is the phase one of the DCU. And a lot of people, because let's just be upfront, a lot of people are not loving this movie. They think it's fine to okay to bad. I don't think there are many people leaving this being like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. If you think about the MCU started out with Iron Man, everybody loved. You can compare that to Superman. And then it immediately had the Hulk, and then the Hulk sucked, and people didn't love it. The problem is, granted, the Hulk is a very popular character, but you're going to do Superman and then Supergirl immediately back to back. And also, we are in an age where the general audience understands franchises better than they did when those movies were coming out. Because the connected universe wasn't really a thing in the movies before the MCU did Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, all of them together in the Avengers. That just wasn't a thing. So they had the ability to make a good Iron Man movie and then a bad Hulk movie, and it wouldn't kind of interrupt the other things being really good. However, Supergirl not being that great does make me a little worried, especially because this is coming off the heels of a great movie like Superman. But there are so many things that I want to get into, but the one thing that I want to say is that I think I've been a big fan of James Gunn's media for the longest time, and I know he was not the writer director. However, he is the executive producer and he is the head honcho of this franchise. So I do know that these people, the writers and the directors, did turn to him for advice, and his fingerprints are all over this film. So even though it's not a James Gunn project, it feels very much like a James Gunn project. And I think that was unfortunately not my favorite, that was my least favorite parts of this film.
Sure. And I think James Gunn became the person pretty much in charge of the DCU, and we knew that a lot of the versions of the DC we were going to get were going to have his influences. And he is a wonderful writer, and a lot of projects he's done. I mean, classics even to Scooby-Doo and Lollipop Chainsaw, and a lot of other things that he's done that aren't just necessarily superhero projects like Guardians. So I think it's a problem because it's his job to make sure these things are coming out and happening and are seamless, not for him to be a part in the creative process as much as he is. Right? When he's doing Superman, sure, right? He has to because he is writing it, he is directing it, producing it, and that's fine. If he does one of the multiple, that's okay. I'm not mad about that. But if it feels like he's doing every single movie, but putting it under someone else's name, and their influences maybe aren't exactly what they wanted for the movie, but they felt
Yeah.
like they had to.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I have a problem as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, I think, agree the first two acts were a lot of fun. Maybe not everyone's favorite, but they were really good. It's the third act that really is the hard sell.
Yeah.
For me, anyways.
Yeah. So that being said, yeah, I do want to get into like more of spoiler territory now, so I think now is
Yeah.
like the thing that like we'll just jump right in. My biggest problem of this whole film comes from the script. I don't think the screenplay is there. To me, it feels very generic and bland. Like the way to get into the story, I feel like everything felt so like tropey, like things that we've already seen a million other times in films. Like the reluctant hero at the bar, the girl Ruthie, her family's death. I saw that a million miles away, and it didn't even feel that interesting. Like when it was happening to me, I was like, yeah, this is the run of the mill, the survivor of the rest of the family getting killed, and you're the last one, and now you're on a revenge path. Like it didn't feel interesting at all in that thing. And then she goes to the bar and she's like, I need help, and then Supergirl is now the reluctant hero of like, I don't want to do this, but then it's like, oh, but there's that nagging thing in me to do the right thing, and it's like it's charming in that aspect of the character, but as for the story, I just don't think it's there, because then we get into, oh, now they're linked up, they're at Kara's ship. Now how do we push the plot forward? Oh, we push the plot forward by bringing the main villain in, and he's going to do two things. He's going to take out Crypto, because you can't have Crypto in the whole movie because that's too much CGI. So you knew Crypto was gonna like, F off eventually. But they needed a way to do that, and they needed a way for Kara to not have her own ship. To put her, put her in waters that she's unaware of. So they have the guy just pop in, shoot Crypto with a thing, and then F off in the ship. And now it's just like, okay, it just feels very generic. And the movie does that a lot, where everything feels so simple and generic, where I just go, okay, I get it. Like everything throughout this film.
I think like I'm a big person that enjoys tropes and generic stuff when done right. Like you can throw like this is the superhero genre. We're gonna overlap a lot on things that are like similar.
Sure.
But it's how you use it, right? It's how authentic you make it to the story and the character versus you kind of just feel like it was edited and splashed in.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people have a right idea to say this feels like three scripts together.
Yeah.
Right? It feels like they Frankenstein Supergirl together, where it's like there probably was a really cool storyline for Ruthie that just kind of fell under the ropes, right? Like something for me is like in that the version they have where the brother is the reason why him dying starts this whole thing feels out of nowhere, right? It's just like an accidental.
That was so goofy.
And like it I don't know, it just doesn't work as you want. Like if he came in, took the armory, and then blew up the house, and the only reason why like she didn't die is because she went outside like chasing a firefly or something, right? Something as simple as that. I think it shows the villain's like cruelty more, because he just, regardless of taking her out, he killed them and didn't like had his whole little monologue with them, and now she has a reason versus like almost feeling like she had no emotion when she saw all that happen. Like she was mad. She was saying she wanted revenge, but I didn't feel the emotion there, right?
Yeah, and I here's the thing. I think a lot of the actors are trying so hard with this script. I do want to give a shout out specifically to like, Millie Alcock, like that it's not a tough character play. I really like this character. I love how she's different than Superman. Like I love how she's so different than Superman. I just don't think, again, all of my gripes come back to the script. I just don't think her dialogue I don't think her relationship with Ruthie means that much to me at all. Like they're, like you said, the way that it kind of just combines all these ideas, like in like 3 separate scripts probably. They don't bond. They don't really even get to know each other. She kind of is just along for the ride until the very end. And then that ending just they don't even. It's not even a. It's a half-baked idea.
I think this is another movie, or even the superhero genre curse, where an actor does such a wonderful job,
Yeah.
but the writing is the problem.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think she did phenomenal. I love her as Supergirl. I love the way that she played the character who is broken and kind of lost and longing for something and figuring out that redemption till she finds it in a small essence.
Yeah.
But again, it's hard to feel that because the writing didn't really do it justice. It opened up so many unanswered questions that needed to be resolved.
Yeah.
I love when media has like it adds something that we're never going to have an answer to, right? The horror genre does a lot of that.
Sure.
But in this, like, there's so many questions that just seem like it was more of like a plot hole. Something they're just kind of thrown in and being like, yeah, don't really ask us about it because we're not going to answer it.
Like the kryptonite arrows.
Like the kryptonite arrows.
Where did he get them? How did
or-
he know that kryptonite
Exactly. So, like,
affects
I guess let's jump
Kryptonians?
into that because that's one of the things that really bugged me. So we know Superman exists.
Yeah.
We know that Superman exists on Earth. We know Lex Luthor knows about Kryptonians and has learned a little bit about it, and he's dedicated his whole petty life to it. That makes sense to me.
Yep.
We know in space they probably understand that this world blew up, but none of them should know that Kryptonians have this power or that kryptonite is their weakness because why from the eons of a
Kryptonians
different
didn't even
galaxy
know. The
would they
Kryptonians
have
were
it?
getting cancer
They
from
were-
it. And
they
they
were
were like
having-
some mineral in our water or whatever is killing us.
They knew kryptonite was poisoning them in some way. They didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
But also, they were on a floating island planet for 24 years and no one bumped into them. No
Yeah.
spaceship, no bus,
Yeah.
like again, if somehow someone would have came that was trying to help them and realized they were a dying cause or whatever, or someone maybe this group of villains were the reason why that island blows up because they bump into them and they blow
do
up
anything
the
to tie Ruthie's
something to
backstory
tie
with
Ruthie to
Supergirl.
Kara.
Like, yeah.
But there's
Anything.
none of that. We don't even really talk about it.
No.
So it's like, does that floating island of a planet exist still?
Yeah.
We don't know. So when Kara is trying to be sympathetic to the cause, like there's so much room for that to be awesome.
Yeah.
We just don't get it, right? Like towards the end when she's convincing Ruthie not to do the finishing kill.
Yeah.
But then she does the kill. I think that's epic. I love that. I love seeing Supergirl being a little bit more on that offensive than Superman ever will be, right? To go back to Man of Steel when he breaks Zod's neck and everyone was so conflicted about that. I think it works for Supergirl. But the story didn't work to get us.
The story didn't earn that.
It kind of just happened.
Didn't earn that.
I liked it because I was connecting my own dots and making my own connections as a viewer.
Yeah.
But that should not be my job, right?
Yeah.
Like it should be in through the story. It's interesting.
Exactly.
Sure. Like you said, the kryptonite arrows.
And like,
how does he get that? What does he know about that?
And I've seen other people talk and say, "Oh, I like this part." For me, I know the yellow sun is very big for the Kryptonians, and I think one scene of Kara almost dying, and then you get the yellow sun, and then she's all super powered up, and then like she saves the day, is great. I think for a Superman story, they did that in Superman. He was on the verge of dying. They put him in the thing. He recharges up, and then he's right back in the action. I think that's awesome. However, I don't like that it was used twice for the exact same
Theoretically,
thing.
3 times, right?
Because the first time I'm thinking of, she's floating in space, she is dying, she's freezing, the thing finally crests over and she gets the sun, and then she's all super powered up. The second time, to my knowledge, is when she's on the green sun planet with the 2 suns, and eventually it turns yellow. And it's like, okay, we did this before. Like, I don't...
And then you have the third time when she has the kryptonite in her blood, and then she flies up to the sun to get it removed, right?
Well, so here, yes.
So there are three times that you've nerfed this character, and given, like, the sun is the cure to this problem.
I would love if there was something where, like, she is on a red sun planet, and like where she has no powers, because green sun planet, yeah, she's screwed. She's like in a thing that's literally like killing her, and she can't, like, it's making her weak. But like a red sun just makes her like a person. I would love to see part of this story take place on a red planet where she doesn't have, and I know the beginning does this very quickly, but maybe get her like in like that classic like superhero or action movie trope of where she is in and over her head, where she's trapped or she's in thing, and she doesn't use her powers to fight back. She uses like something else.
She uses
like,
the sword, right? The sword is
Yeah.
there. The sword is there.
Oh, it'd be
we
great.
don't ever use the sword
We
until
don't.
the ending kill. So
Yeah.
we make this big deal about the sword, and she is on the red planet.
100%.
And
You're
she's
so right.
and she's fighting the guy with the sword, and then she grabs his hammer to get the last blow, whatever.
Yeah.
Then they leave. I think it would have been a wonderful premise for them to be both stuck on this red planet. He's trying to escape to get out on the spaceship. She's trying to, learn more about herself with Ruthie there. So she's using the sword.
Yeah.
Right? Make that her weapon, right? Make that a part of the journey that she's getting as the hero. And then realizing, no, the sword is not my weapon. This is not me. Gives it back to Ruthie and figures out her own purpose.
Yeah.
But when we get to the Green Sun, one of my big conflicts with that is somehow he knows the Green Sun is going to cause her this pain.
Yeah.
That's why he went there, right?
Yeah.
How, why, we never get that explained. Same thing with the Kryptonite. Okay.
Yep.
He also says, this is the place that I came because we can kill her here and we should capture the Kryptonian. Why does he not have a search party truly looking for, regardless? Like, we see the small group of them, but they get Ruthie. They don't continue looking for Kara.
But they dropped her off and left, and then they came back and looked for her. Why? Why not just
Why not continue the search? Why not?
That's the thing. They do this so many times throughout the movie. Krem's whole thing. First off, Krem, boring ass villain. Just the actor is trying. Like
his
once
lines,
again,
hilarious. I liked when he spoke.
He's just
Krem would say something goofy. Like there's one time where he's on the floor and they're like arguing, Kara and Ruthie, and he goes, "What the hell?"
and I'm sorry, but it's fine. He's trying his best. It is just the simple generic villain who has no interesting backstory, which sucks because I heard in the comic, Krem is a very interesting character. Sure. Anyways, but he kills the family, and then he sees this girl, and we learn eventually his whole thing is taking like child bride soldier like people and using them for their species or whatever. Why doesn't he just take her then?
Sure.
Because the plot doesn't demand it. Then she's in prison and he's there and he's like, I'm going to kill you if you don't tell me where Supergirl is. And she's like, I'm not going to tell you. Kill her then. Why are we doing the classic, like, you have 24 hours or like, I'm giving you to the end of the day and then you die.
Like I'm giving
Kill
you
her
a timer.
right fucking now.
And
then I just don't get it.
There's two ways to do something with that, right? There's the one way, the more classic way, where it's like, we're going to hold you on public execution and we're going to do it at exactly the time that the Green Sun hits because we know Kara won't be able to save you there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, that makes sense. How do we get out of that? Maybe now we have to lean on to this character, Lobo, that we brought in there, which we'll get into in a second. Versus... okay, they were doing the child bride thing. It's an interesting take already, but hey, if we're doing it and you're leaning into it, the reason why he probably wouldn't want to kill her is because he's seen her do all these interesting things where he goes, you know what? Never mind. I can't kill you because I want to have you as a bride, which now Kara has to save because we don't want that for her. Yeah. So it's like, which I will say was kind of insane that when Ruthie was like, oh no, we forgot to get the brides.
I hated that. I actually hated that. I'm why are you calling them the brides? You can call them the captives, the prisoners, the girls, literally anything but the brides.
I thought again, they were playing around with this concept so much, which was like, again, if you're playing with it, you might as well use it versus like kind of floating around something that you need caution on. Yeah. And like I get it, but also I don't know why they did it then. Yeah. But I think this is a good transition to talk about Lobo. Yeah. I think Lobo was an interesting character to add. I can't remember if he's in the comic or not, like, 'cause I didn't read it. But, like, my problem with characters who are introduced into someone's, not origin story, but their first solo superhero film, or even just in general, is if they take away from the character, what was the point? Yeah. Right? Because, like, Lobo was fun. I think Lobo was fun.
Every scene he was in, he was the best part,
sucks. Which feels very much, because I know Jason Momoa has been wanting to do Lobo for a very long time. Once he got Aquaman, he was like, I wish I was Lobo, but I'll do Aquaman. Yeah. Like, he did, whatever. So, he was having a blast. I know James Gunn loved what they were doing with Lobo. Yeah, sure. So, like, he was, like, checkmarking everything that he was seeing on there. Yeah. Which is fine, but there's just so much better storytelling to be used with Lobo as a plot, right? Like, why is Lobo seeking someone different? I think it would be way more interesting if Supergirl or Lobo had a bounty on what's his name again?
Krem.
On Quem, who
Krem.
Krem for some reason he has the bounty on him,
Yeah.
and since Krem has the antidote, maybe he does something with whatever his group of people can do where he links the antidote to himself. Maybe he swallows a vial, simple trope or something, to where Supergirl's like, Lobo, I can't let you take him. I need him to save my son. And so now while they're fighting each other, Krem's getting away. He's taking Ruthie. He's doing other things on planets. Then they get forced to this green planet, and so then Lobo has to work with Supergirl. Supergirl has to work with Lobo to continue this plot process.
Yeah.
Now they both have reasons to exist in this battle, but we don't get that. So now we're left again to fill in the blanks for them, and we're left to understand why Lobo is just here, letting himself being captive. He's like at one point excited that Ruthie's doing all this badass stuff, where it's like, okay, so now maybe Lobo's gonna try to recruit her as an apprentice, and then it just nothing happens.
I don't. It's funny because Lobo was played for laughs, and I don't know what he is in the comics. Well, like I'm sure that is part of it because like he doesn't take himself.
He's an immortal who,
like,
who thinks he's a god that thinks everyone else.
Yes, and I think that character is very funny. It just. At that point when she does the thing where she's like, oh no, I'll take you to the thing. So then the guard lets her out and then she chokes him out and kills him, whatever. I saw that coming from a mile away. I'm like, this is once again, just a generic, okay, this person does this thing, then this person does this thing, then this person does this thing. Instead of like the writing thing of this person does this thing. And because of that, this happens. And then because that happens, this person reacts this way. The movie has none of that. It is just point A to point B to point B to point C because that's what the narrative needs. Mm-hmm. And it just was him being like, I'm so proud of you. It's like, I was like, that is sure. Like, I'll take it. It's just like,
again, he's being very comical. It's very like Deadpool in a way, right? It's very silly and like making jokes in the air and the ethos that no one's really paying attention to.
Yeah.
I think it's fun and fine, but I still think it was a throw-in, right? It was like from a different script that they're like, let's merge this together.
Yeah. Speaking of the two different scripts, I do think, or the whatever different scripts, Ruthie's character was completely changed, I think, from scene to scene. 1 minute, she's walking up to Lobo and going, you need to be nice, or you want to, like, we all want to recruit you. And then the very next minute, she's like afraid of the violence that's happening around her. Like at one point she is ready to pick up the sword and do whatever. And then there's another part where she's like cowering behind Kara. And it's like
one moment she's
you need to pick
through those vents and then like,
yes. And then choking out the guy and the thing. And you're like, okay, so this girl can fight. And then she's in a fighting scenario and she's like actually cowering. And it's like, you guys need to pick.
And she's new to this. She's just picked up the sword for the first time, right?
You can do another timid trope, but right? brave,
timid but brave.
But it was not that.
Learning how to have the confidence to wield the sword, how to use the sword. Maybe her goal at the end, like she said, maybe she wants to make weapons like her dad. Okay, so maybe she's not the warrior forever in her journey, but she has the bravery enough to give her the courage to at least do something. Like I don't think at any point was she given that opportunity to show the heroic that's inside of her.
Yeah.
It just kind of like was an assist to Supergirl or an assist to Lobo. The closest thing was the one inside of the prison when she chokes the guy out. Yeah. Which is cool. And I was like, heck yeah. Like she's doing stuff. And then they stopped letting her do things, right?
Because they like the one thing that I'm like, okay, why this is a wasted potential for these relationships is that they don't bond at all. They don't talk about anything other than their current goals and their tragic backstories. I think it would be very cool for Kara to be like, what do you want to do with your life after you get this revenge? Because that's a thing. If you're trying to spare her or like her heart by not letting her kill this guy, she needs to have another plan. And it would be very interesting because at the end when she says like, oh, maybe I'll make swords like my dad. That's good. Build up to that.
Yeah.
You can't just say it at the end and have me take it like, be like, okay, yeah.
Sure, you can get a really
if they're talking, just say like, oh, she's like, well, what do you want to do after you get this revenge? Or like, what did you want to do before? And she's like, I was learning how to make swords with my dad. And she's like, Kara's like, do that. And then she's like, oh no, I have to get this revenge first. Well, now when the revenge is over, well, what are you going to do now?
Sure.
I want to make the swords.
You could
Wonderful.
Even
Great.
give her monologues, like when she's in the prison room by herself and Lobo's listening, whatever. You can have her like sitting there like conflicted when she goes, holding this sword doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Every time I try to muster my like she's talking to her dad, I'm trying to muster courage to fight for you, Dad.
Yeah.
I'd rather be making this with you.
Yeah.
I'd rather be back to when we were creating these things like you were teaching me, to kind of show she doesn't want to be the fighter.
Yeah.
So that would make sense that the revenge is not her path, it is not her journey, because she is going elsewhere.
Yeah.
But instead, we're left to think about it by ourselves because we want it, but we're never given it.
Yeah.
So that, I think it's really rough that it really could have been that. Like there is a lot of potential with each character.
Yeah.
It just kind of felt forced.
Very much so. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, I could not get past this simple, you have 3 days to save your dog. Like, it just, I was very surprised that this was the Supergirl movie.
Sure, and it's
because
like
the plot wasn't this simple for Superman.
And this is an Outworlder movie that's in a different literal system. Like, you can do so much with it. And they connected like this very strong militant kind of evil, and you have Lobo. Like, you can do so much with that more than just this.
Also, the guys, the bad guys that Krem leads, really just feels like the scavengers from Guardians.
Sure.
Like that's the other thing.
They do.
This whole movie just looks like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie because all the aliens have the same type of design. It's like a rundown, like whatever. Everyone's painted blue or purple or pink, and you got the weird like eye makeup or whatever. And it really, I'm like, you couldn't have made it distinct from your Guardians movies in that aspect.
Sure.
Like, I want to look it up. I want to see if the artists are just
the
basically the same, because I do think that's a fault. Because you're in space, you can make things look however you want, and every now and then they'll throw a gross looking alien. It's like, no, just make this world look unique. Like,
And I think, like, now that I'm thinking about it, like, I enjoyed the bus scene. I enjoyed that little fight sequence where she didn't have powers, so she's having to use this other technology.
I liked it. I didn't like how it ended, but I did like the start of it.
Like, this is just random. What if Ruthie took that? What if Ruthie took that gadget? She took the, like, teleporting gadget, and she was able to use that as a part of her equipment.
Yeah.
Because maybe her character is not about being strong, but it's using your mind and using what's around you to win.
Yeah.
Right? Which is coming into the tinkerer, creative person that she wants to become later.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So you said you gave it 2.5 stars, right?
Yeah.
And the like?
And the like.
You gave it a like?
I liked it because, like I said, at the end of the day, where I think the storytelling could have done immensely better, I had a lot of fun with everyone who was a part of the project. Yeah. And I really do like her as Supergirl, and I can't wait to see what's next. And I do like that, you know, her character, even though she's looking to be good, made the final kill at the end because it's a part of where her character is heading.
Sure.
I don't like the inconsistencies of the storytelling, the Kryptonian stuff. I think is a real big burden for me with the Kryptonite, to knowing that her brother, or her dad, being the brother of Superman's dad, was aware that they were looking to conquer other worlds, but he didn't have the same vision. Maybe we don't really. They kind of throw it in there in the ether.
They try to make it seem like
he was on
Kal-El's dad was the only one that really cared about that.
So did he let his brother die because he didn't tell him to come to the island with them?
Yeah.
So he was like, I think everyone else is bad and I need to save the good ones.
Honestly, maybe.
But like, what does that mean? Can we have more to that? Like, it just, I don't get it. Like, there's just so much of that. Like, I'm okay if they're really gonna push the Conqueror vibe to it, but we need more explanation. If you're doing a flashback, you're allowed to give us more.
Yeah.
Or you should actually give us more. And if she's been here for 24 years learning this is the way, then explain on that, elaborate on that.
Exactly, yeah. I ended up giving it 2 stars with no like. I was in a very, very good headspace to watch this movie. I was feeling good. I didn't have crazy high expectations because I did see some early reviews, but I went, hey, I like superhero things. I think I'm gonna have a good time. I'm not some loser that immediately is like, "Oh, there's a woman lead. I'm gonna hate this." Like that's stupid. That's the other thing. I did not like this movie. If you're also like, I also didn't like this movie. They shouldn't have made a Supergirl movie because that women. Shut up. You're stupid, and I hate you. I don't like this movie because of the things. The only aspect of this movie that I really liked was Millie Alcock as Kara, as Supergirl. That's out of my 2 stars that I gave it. She is 1.5 stars because she's great, and I cannot wait. I need more of her and David Corn Sweat. Like their banter is great. I love how he is the Boy Scout and the like kind of like a dork, and she's cool as hell, and also been through a lot.
Yeah.
Like I love how different they are, and I'm very interested to see those characters work together or not work together in the future. I'm just very interested in seeing that. The other half of that star goes to maybe Lobo and maybe even David Cornsweat's Superman being like thrown in there every now and then. But I will say, 2 stars is as high as I'm willing to rank it. I did not like this movie. It just, like I said, at the end of the day, I think the screenplay for this should have been significantly better. We saw this movie with 5 other friends, and we all left the theaters and we were all just like, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why? Not saying we could have done it better because hindsight is 2020, but I'm so shocked that a major company like Warner Brothers, the DCU
very
film,
conscious of where they're at in the
would
placement,
make this generic film. It could have been so much more. Like I had Superman, I gave a 3.5 out of 5. I bumped it to a 4, I think, eventually. It was swinging for the fences with its plot.
Yeah.
It was trying very hard to be unique and different, and I loved that. I had different gripes for whatever reasons, but that's beside the point. They should have also done the same thing with this.
Yeah.
I don't know why in 2026 we're putting out like a superhero tropey genre that is a generic superhero movie that would have come out in the early 2000s. In 2026, I'm sorry, you got to be innovative. You got to be doing something different other than bad person needs to be taken down, good person needs to learn the right lessons. I think you got to do something different.
Sure.
And I guess it's a way they were trying to introduce Supergirl to the general audience. Because, I mean, I don't know a lot of people that don't know her, but I'm sure some people don't. But I think there are many ways to show that she is different from Clark without making this generic ass movie.
There's definitely a better way to do a non-origin story for Supergirl, where you're getting flashes back and forth.
Yep.
Right? She's a character who's struggling with putting herself through addiction and drinking and going to the Red Sun for that. So you can play on her when she's healing, when she's getting away from that negative and unhealthy mindset, which I know some people did connect to in the film.
Mm-hmm.
She's getting flashes back into her childhood that did make her happy, maybe even understanding some that didn't make her happy, right? Going through trauma. I guess on my Letterboxd review, I'm gonna say it now, was leave me and my Kryptonian son alone, because I love Krypto. You thought I wasn't gonna talk about Krypto? I'm talking about Krypto. I love Krypto so much. I think Krypto's just awesome. I even love the cartoon Krypto.
Sure.
If you ever saw the show. So seeing him in it has been a lot of fun for me, and I like the personality and the connection that they have.
Yeah.
And there is a big like pathos kind of connection that she has to, I need to make sure the one piece of life that makes me happy is alive.
Sure.
With her, with Krypto, but it just could have been more. It could have been different.
Definitely. But with that, anything else you want to add? Final thoughts?
Like I said, I had a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what comes next with her journey and her character.
Yeah.
I just want it to be written better.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I didn't love this movie, but I do always have a good time watching a movie in the theaters. I just like being with friends. I like the big screen, the big energy and the sound and all that. I was disappointed because I really think they could have done so much better with it, and that's a shame.
It deserved to be better, is what it is.
Yes, and I do think Millie as Supergirl, as taking on this big franchise, deserves better. Like I think she deserves a great writer and a great director and a great producer all trying to make something
Making
new
the
and
best
exciting.
project versus just putting it out.
Yeah. With that, this has been our Supergirl review. If you guys loved it and you hate our review, please let us know in the comments. Give our review 2 stars if you really want. I'm ready for it. But with that, I'm Brian.
I'm Michael.
Catch you later, guys.